I was wondering when you were finally gonna show. You sure took your time, though.
Hello YouTube and welcome to Classically Weird, where we explore the weird world of cinema. My name is Headmaster Howard. I'm going to be your host for today's episode, and joining me as always is my lovely wife and partner in this adventure, Ragana Ray.
Aw, thank you, my love. Hello, fellow weird enthusiasts and mystics.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get going right into In a Violent Nature. So, In a Violent Nature is a 2024 film by writer and director Chris Nash. He is a Canadian-based filmmaker. This film actually takes place in Ontario.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
So you get a lot of Canadian actors in here and all of that. One of the fun things about this started filming in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So right coming out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of that, like, okay, let's all get out and do this thing now that we can, kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. It explains all that pretty scenery, too.
Yeah, really does.
Yeah. So how did you find out about In a Violent Nature? Where does this one come to us from?
So this one was recommended to us by a friend of mine from my day job. His name is AJ.
Oh, AJ. Okay.
AJ.
Yes. And this is considered a slasher flick, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, my loves. So let's start rolling right into the plot of this movie.
Okay.
So the plot of this film is incredibly simplistic. However, it does take an interesting twist. This is a slasher film. However, the perspective that's taken during this film, we're following the journey of the killer, which is an interesting kind of spin on it, because the vast majority of horror movies, especially slasher flicks, you're usually following the victim.
Mm-hmm.
You're usually following along in their journey, and you build an empathetic connection with them.
This one you did not.
This one you really did
You're
not.
Like, why? Who is this person? Why is he killing them? What? Okay, why? Oh, okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
I still can't understand who the first person but there was that funny, the first one killed mother.
Yeah, you don't build a empathetic connection with any of the victims in here. Not really. Any of the people who actually die in this movie, there's not enough time with them to really kind of build that kind of connection. So when they do get killed, it's kind of one of those where you're almost kind of neutral to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lacking kind of that fear element that builds up through following the victims. Because you're following behind with the killer, and you know that their death is just kind of inevitable.
Yep.
Like it's just a relentless pursuit forward.
There was one point I was like, he's instead of stopping to eat, he just stops to kill real quick.
Yeah, it's like his pit stops in his journey. It's what she described it as last night. So one of the interesting plot devices that was utilized throughout this movie was the creepy campfire story element to it. That's really where you're getting a lot of the lore of this movie from, because otherwise they don't give you a lot to work with.
It was teenagers in the woods, and they come across some old, like, abandoned water tower.
It's a fire tower.
Fire tower.
It's a fire watch
they
tower.
Come across this fire tower. You can hear talking and stuff, but you don't really understand why they're there. I never really just hikers in the woods. It was just, that was never really clear, because again, you don't connect with any of the victims. Then somebody takes something, which you never take anything. If you're out in the woods, if you're doing any sort of paranormal investigation, if you are doing any sort of grave visiting, do not take anything from any of those locations. If there's anything you take away from this movie, take away that. So somebody takes something which seems to spark this unhuman thing to appear from the ground, and then we just start following this creature of the sorts until we slowly find out more information about who he is, kind of.
And really what it is, he was a tortured soul in life.
So trigger warnings, there is the tortured soul and it was abuse of a child.
Child, kind of. Childlike mentality.
Mm.
So he was a tortured soul, he was a tortured spirit, but then had a tragic accident where he lost his life
Mm-hmm.
and then came back to almost in a way wreak vengeance.
Yes.
They found a way to kind of placate him, stop him, and then these teenagers come along and take the thing that he is most attached to. And what we're seeing is his journey slowly working through killing off all these teenagers who have disturbed his resting place.
Mm-hmm. And anything in between, anybody in between was there was no
Right.
there was
no rhyme or reason. It was just relentless.
Yes. And it was after that particular item.
There is a point where you kind of start getting a little sympathetic for the killer.
Really?
Well, at least I did. He was tortured in life.
Yeah.
And he had this kind of rough existence only for his rest to be disturbed.
By people that just didn't even care and didn't believe the stories that had happened because somebody shared the entire story and it got laughed at, essentially.
Yeah.
In the group. So, and I would just like to pay the homage to, there is a very heavy Jason Voorhees kind of influence to this creature. And even his name is Johnny. And you've got the same sort of, even in the water lake scene, it walking into the water, I'm like, he doesn't breathe. He's just gonna walk. And it's shot artistically as well.
Yep.
So it's very slow.
It's very slow.
Very slow. Have patience.
So, funnily enough, on the topic of patience, director Chris Nash actually describes this movie as a test of patience.
Oh, my patience was tested. My patience was tested. Yes, there's no background music. It's just a lot of watching him walk. Almost, it felt like in circles at times. Mm-hmm. And there was a point where he was walking in circle. He left his hatchet, put that down. You're like, oh, he's leaving his hatchet to walk into the water to kill this person, and then walked all the way back around to get the hatchet. So it was very slow and very much in circles. Even when they were talking in circles, I was like, oh my gosh.
Now, you brought up the lack of soundtrack to this. That was an intentional choice by the director.
Oh.
Essentially, he didn't want to taint the audience's emotional experience of the movie through soundtrack. Because a lot of slasher films, horror movies, just movies in general, it's amazing how much of an impact the audio track actually plays on your experience. You get these sharp jump scare stings, you get the risers, you get the whooshes, you get all this kind of stuff. And really, this movie lacks that. There are still those sound effects, and what you're getting is a lot of ambience. So you're getting a lot of time to be in the scene.
And there was points where, because you're just walking through the woods, and now knowing that we're walking through the beautiful Canadian mountains and woods, and the only time that I recall being jump scared was with the gunshots, because it just was at random. Like, you're just out in the quietness of the woods and people were talking. And then I was like, oh, okay. I was laughing at myself of being jolted over the distinct shooting off whatever, when they were out in the woods shooting at stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was like the jump scare. The slasher kills were a little intense though.
There were some pretty interesting kills throughout this movie. Very creative in the way that they were done and portrayed.
Yep. A lot of overkill.
A lot of overkill.
A lot of overkill. Yeah.
All right, my left. So one more thing that I want to talk about with the plot before we move on with the rest of it. The end sequence where you're following behind one of the girls. Again, you don't really build any sort of
Woman,
connection to any of them,
like
right?
yeah, there's no connection, but it's the last one with the trinket that he's after.
Exactly. So she has the necklace and then she leaves it on the gas can, backs away, and then you have this sequence running through the woods of just her turning and trying to dodge him and all of these things for her to end out onto the road and get whisked away to safety. That is an incredibly long sequence. You start talking about testing the audience patience. Wow.
Yep.
There were moments in there where I was like, okay, where is he? When's he gonna pop out? Obviously, they're dragging this out because he's gonna come after her still.
And it's in her head, and even though she's gotten into a truck, and he moves very slow, there was nothing
Very
about him
slow.
that was there was getting into a car and getting away from him, you were gonna be kosher because there was, I don't know, he did breathe underwater. Maybe all of a sudden he just turns into like Rocket Man. I don't know. But she was in a truck, she was getting far away, and through the whole movie, people are running, and there was, I even said it like, hey, he is in no rush. Like he knows
No
he's gonna
rush.
catch up, you know, to this person that's running from him. He just, there was no care in the world of it. And so if she had already gotten in the car, but yeah, it took forever. And she's bleeding from her ankle because she gets caught in a trap and stuff. And so the woman's trying to talk to her, and you're trying to kind of figure out the woman too.
Right. There was almost this vibe with that woman at the end where I was like, is that his mother?
Yeah, and then we were going back. We're like, no, the mother was gone, and that's why he was
Right.
so attached to the necklace.
And that makes
Yeah,
sense. There was that kind of weirdness to it.
it was very uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable. Honestly, I think they did a good job of leaving the ending of this ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
I did see in my research that there was an alternative ending that was filmed
Okay.
where Johnny actually runs into a spirit from his past and helps put him back to rest,
Mm.
so on and so forth. But I think that they made the right choice in leaving that ending ambiguous,
Mm.
where it's okay, did he just grab the trinket and go back to rest?
Mm-hmm.
Or did he grab the trinket and is he still pursuing
her.
for
And why
being
she never,
involved?
for
Right.
being involved in it, and why she didn't do anything with the gas, because again, you don't know of whatever their plans are. They go back to try and finish him, the two surviving
Teenagers.
teenagers, young adults in the scenario, and it appears that they're going to maybe set him on fire.
That was
That
kind
was
of the
kind of
vibe that I got
yeah,
from
the
it.
vibe that I
Yeah.
picked up. But then when she witnesses the other person get overly unalived, she just backs away from the situation, puts the necklace onto the gas can, which leads with the intention of, we're going to set him on fire, and backs away and gets the heck out of there. And when they come back to that gas can and it's gone, I agree. I was like, did he just go away?
Right?
Is he still going to follow her? Is that like where her life is just, but again, get on a plane and get the heck out. But, if that's the one thing that you're after, and if you're a lost soul and the one thing that you're after, you just
You have it.
You have it. What do I care?
Right.
I go back to my grave, or does he? Yeah, what happens?
Or does he seek vengeance?
Or does he just continue going around, or does he just kill all the way back to his back to the water?
Anything along the way.
Anything
Right?
along the way. So
It kind of reminds me of the movie It Follows.
I don't know that I've seen that one.
That's one we'll have to cover on the channel, but you can get away from it fast. You can get away from it quickly. It does not move fast at all, but it's a constant pursuit. It won't stop.
Huh.
So it kind of gives me that same kind of vibe. Personally, looking at this, I think maybe he is still pursuing her simply for her involvement of the disturbing of his rest.
I could see that. I am intrigued though by they could actually roll into that, him still following and then creating that other ending where there's that spirit that he runs into that helps him get back into his resting place.
In
I mean,
like a sequel.
and a sequel.
I
They
was
could,
just thinking what a sequel would look like in this.
I mean that story is kind of cool, and I mean I would kind of roll with that, but
Okay.
they'd have to throw in a couple other yoga slasher kills.
All right, my love. So now let's start getting into the cinematography of this movie.
Okay.
So this film to me takes a very good artistic vibe.
Yeah.
It's very well done to try to recreate that 80s slasher
Is 80s
film look.
slasher B flick artistic? Like
Right.
those are the words that I wrote down. I had written down, the Jason vibes, the teens with the young adults in the woods, B flick, but still artistic. And there was a point when I thought that the video froze because it was just taking so long, and I was listening because there's no soundtrack, there's no audio to it. Sorry, I wanted to. This just popped in my head, and I legit thought I was getting ready to ask, did it pause? But it was when he's coming back to life and coming the out of the grave, out of his resting place. But I actually thought that it froze, and I thought that was an interesting cinematic choice of the sorts. Would that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And a lot of that is done on purpose by the director. This movie doesn't do anything groundbreaking by any means, but it does take very intentional artistic choices. There's a lot of static, locked off shots. There's no dolly zooms, there's no crazy camera shake or
Very
anything
hard
like
cuts
that.
in it.
There are very hard cuts in it, almost like it was intentionally done that way, like what you would do with old film, where you just cut from scene to scene to scene to scene. You know,
It's also letting you know it shifts in the day too.
absolutely. One of the things that this film did do very well to try to create that old slasher film look is it used the box ratio. So it used that 4:3 ratio, which was the size of the images of TVs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, so on. Back when you had the old big tube TVs.
Cool.
It also added a lot of film grain to this, so it
Yeah,
gives it that gritty kind of old look, giving it that old kind of textured feel. There's also a lot of halation that's added to this, where you get halation, for those of you who don't know, not familiar with that terminology, is where the highlights or the light portions kind of glow a little bit. They kind of it's almost like when you look at a neon sign and it has that kind of like aura around it.
Okay.
You get a lot of that in this film. Those white bits, they kind of glow just a little bit. It's nothing crazy. It's not like they're shining a light or anything. It's just a little
Oh, okay.
little
Cool.
glow. But
Thank you, Headmaster Howard, for the education.
but that kind of stuff is good when it's an intentional choice. Now, there are a lot of really well done locked off scenes throughout this movie where to a point it's almost locked off for so long your mind starts kind of playing with you a little bit, especially the scenes where she's running away. You start looking, going, where is he? Is he following her?
Yeah,
like
looking in
I'm
the
looking
shadow.
for it, right?
Yep.
Like I'm looking for the trees moving and whatnot, to a point where it's almost like the gore and all of that that's taking place on camera in some of the scenes, your eyes start wandering to other things.
I
Like
did it.
you start looking at the grass around and the trees and stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. It definitely, this movie definitely is a test of patience.
It is, and it's so. Let's be real. I yawned a couple times.
As did I.
Now, I will say we did watch it later in the day, and we had been working and recording and stuff. However, I found myself like, give me another unaliving, something
Something
to
engaging.
something engaging, because I was just getting to a point where, you're just like, you're crunching along, and I was wanting something more. So that test of patience that I was, by the end, I was just like, oh, thank you.
Felt relieved when it was over.
Yes.
All right, so now let's start getting into our ratings of this movie.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start with cinematography of this movie. Scale of 1 to 5.
2.
2? Okay.
Nothing really enthralled me. It was the scenery of Canada. Can't wait to go back to Canada. And the scenery was nice, but it was just a dark slashery film. So it didn't really enthrall me in cinematography wise.
I would say for me, this was probably a 3.
Okay.
They did the right things in order to achieve the look that they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were some scenes that just they carried on too long.
Mm-hmm.
So that just pulled it down the scale for me. Now let's talk about fright factor, the fearful side of it. Scale of 1 to 5. What do you think?
I'm at a 2. I won't mess with things that that I go and visit when I go out in my journeys of paranormal investigations, hiking in the woods, whatever. So I don't really have the fear factor of things coming back to me like that. And because I can get in a car and get away from it, I feel confident. I feel confident that I would get out of this one.
Okay.
Quiet space, not so much. Go ahead. Place.
So for me, I would say this one is probably the same, probably about a 2. There wasn't a lot that really scared me on this one, although it did have those elements of body horror that I usually look for in order for me to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
I found them more intriguing, less scary.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, that kind of makes me worry about my mental state. But
Mine too.
you get what I'm saying, though. It wasn't really scary.
No.
It was more, I was watching a snuff film.
Yeah.
It's what it was like. It was like a really long artistic snuff film.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, is this a movie that we would recommend to people? Yes, no.
Do I like the person or not? Do I want to test their patience or not? Would but 2, I don't know a lot of people that would have the patience for this.
Right. If it was somebody that I was dealing with who was into artistic films and
Mhm.
into artistic horror, I would say yes, I would recommend this to them. However, anybody else, probably not.
I think you would fall asleep or you would
Right.
turn it off partway through it.
Right. However, it was good enough to keep my attention through most of it.
Yes.
I will admit
What was
there were a few times throughout where the cat was playing with things and I was watching the cat.
guilty?
She's around here somewhere.
She's really, I thank you. And it was so cute. And I was trying so hard to pay attention to the movie. But she was, oh, yeah. So if your pets are cute, you'll probably get sidetracked.
Well, folks, that is our assessment of the film In a Violent Nature. If you agree with our assessment or if you think we're completely off base here, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what your rating would be. And just one final note, thank you, AJ, for recommending this film to us. It was definitely an adventure as it was.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of it. Being a part of our Classically Weird.
Right?
Stay
Alrighty, folks. Stay weird. Hey there, and thanks for sticking around to the end to help us launch our wonderfully weird little corner of YouTube. Now, we're dropping 5 videos today to kick things off with a proper ritual. Celebration. And we plan on being back every 2 weeks with fresh horrors, twisted tales, and our own brand of dark love for the horror genre. Now, we're just a two weirdo team here. Everything you see is conjured up by just the two of us. Recording, editing, research, you name it, we do it all. So every like, comment, and subscribe really goes a long way to help keep the weirdness flowing.
So if you've enjoyed this and want to help us grow into your favorite spooky stop on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and hit that bell like it owes you money, darling. Thanks again for supporting our channel launch. We're just getting started, and it means the underworld to us that you're here.
And
Until next time, stay weird.